bar graph. So the easiest way to do that, gentlemen, is on the left-hand column, you're going to start by putting down all the tasks you're going to be doing. Now, if by chance you don't know what those tasks are, you might just go with the standard descriptors of the 5 stages of the project life cycle. That's fine. Planning, designing, implementing, testing. So I'm just going to leave the last 4 as their starting letters. I'm sure you can see what those titles would be. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make the structure of our graph. So we're going to select the column beside our tasks, and we're going to actually just add a left border. So that gives us, yep, so I selected them and I came up to here to apply a border. I can do it through format cells as well, and I just selected left only. What I'm also going to do, just for your viewing pleasure,
how did you expand understand the problem?
So I hovered over the divider at the top and double clicked, and that will actually expand your column so it fits all the text in. So if it was like that, if I were to hover up here and double click, it'll actually expand. Yep, and double click.
Ah, cool.
Excellent. Okay, what we're going to do along the bottom then, gentlemen, is our duration. So you need to tell me what measurement that is, whether it's days, weeks, months. I picked days, but you can have whatever you'd like that's applicable. And then we're going to form the next part of our structure, which is obviously our horizontal line. Same process as before. So I've selected the row that lines up with my very last task, and I'm going to draw a bottom border on that. So if you've done that, you then have the structure for your graph. I am just very quickly going to go in and turn off grid lines. That hopefully gives you a better understanding of what we've created so far. Always make sure you have a title on your Gantt chart, so it can be this is this project or whatever is relevant, if I can spell project. Okay. And now we're ready to start to map out how our stages fit in. What you want to do is you want to ensure that the very far left of your graph is actually 0 in terms of duration, and then you want to number the cells across. If you're feeling a bit fancy, you can actually highlight a group of cells and go edit, fill, and you can fill in series. And when you say fill in series, you can actually make it increase in a linear pattern by 1 for every cell, or by 2 or 3 or 4, so you have some flexibility there if you would like to, or if you're just a simple person like I am, you just type the number in. Now, my one concern with this is obviously 0 is not sitting right in that left corner, is it? Everything's right aligned. So we're going to select all those cells and we're going to left align them. I feel much better now. Yeah, so I just selected the cells and then I went up here and I used the left align. Okay, so it's just formatting stuff, but it makes you feel better because you can actually read the Gantt chart properly. Now here's the fun thing. We start to work out how long each of our stages take. And again, we're just going to draw a border around each task and how long it goes for. So let's say understanding the problem requires us to be working on it for 2 whole days. So I've selected 2 cells there. And there's again, I'm going to cheat by just doing an outside border. Turning that on, now you can see that there's a block there representing that time frame. I might say that planning takes a little bit longer. Again, outside border, designing, and this obviously isn't to scale or time frame at the moment, but it gives you an understanding of what we're doing. And there you have actually the Gantt chart in a planning stage. So the good thing about this, it sort of maps out how long you think each stage is going to take. Be mindful that the fact that these sort of stages come after each other, so we've actually got something called a traditional or a structured or a waterfall method of the project development life cycle, which means you don't start the next stage till you finish the previous stage. In some cases, for example, like today, some of you might be working on designing and some of you might be doing some implementation work. So testing how bits work on an actual school device, because that's where we're going to be running your program. So you can have stages overlap, it just depends on which model you decided to use. The last part of this, gentlemen, is the decision as to whether you're on time, behind time, or in front of time. So we're going to add a little key over here now. We're going to say that there are two potential objects we're going to have. So yellow, and we'll go green just because I like the two different colours. And we're going to say that green is a completed task. And yellow is incomplete task. And obviously in an exam you just use maybe a coloured, so striped box to indicate this rather than using coloured pencils. And you're going to also add in something that's going to look a bit strange, but we're going to do a top border, and we're going to then change the line style. We're going to format the cell, and we're going to make it a dotted line. And that's going to be listed as today's date. So there's three things in that key. So you go through first on colour, everything is incomplete. Then you go through the planning, and that's why you're going to have multiple copies of the Gantt chart as you move through the different days of the project. As you complete each stage, you're going to then colour boxes to indicate that part's complete. And to indicate where we are in terms of your day of the project, you're going to select a column and add a left or right border. So today, if we're at day 2, we've now added a left border there on that. And just make sure you format that so it's a dotted line like we picked earlier. Okay. So based on the understanding that we're at the start of day 2 today, and we've only finished half of understanding the problem, we're behind or ahead of schedule?
Behind.
We're behind. Because we haven't yet finished everything that we should have up to today's date. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, so we could have that graph done, or this Gantt chart, we could have multiple copies of it. You should have particularly one for each milestone to track whether you're behind or ahead. You could break these down to talk about reports you've got to do, or maybe other tasks you want people doing. So you could have sub-levels underneath these, or sub-tasks. So that would be the basic outline of a Gantt chart using a spreadsheet program. Okay, now, if you want to get super fancy, the other way to do it, gentlemen, is to actually create a table